Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So this might draw some sharp criticism, but I think the analysis is right. And that's with respect to the question of anti-Semitism. There's no question that in the Arab world and these Palestinians calling for the gassing of the Jews, that's anti-Semitism. This Palestinian movement, as I've said before, and I'll keep saying, has nothing to do with land for peace, nothing or autonomy. Let's get this clear. A two-state solution? There was a two-state solution. It was when Israel declared its independence according to agreements in the United Nations, right? Supporting the creation of the state of Israel. There was a two-state solution. And guess what? Immediately afterwards, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and troops from Saudi Arabia under the command of Egypt attacked Israel, wanted to wipe it off the map. Yep, no place for you in this particular Muslim neighborhood. It's Islamic ideology, and it's a 1,400-year history of deep and dark anti-Semitism. And check out Hamas's charter to see if they want a two-state solution. They don't. That's a short answer. Deeply anti-Semitic. Yep, right there in the charter, wants Israel and Jews killed. That's exactly right. And why do I say that? Undoubtedly, leftists, there might be a small proportion of those leftists that are in fact anti-Semitic. My theory here, that's why, you misgender somebody, you can lose your fucking job. They'll be on you like pitiless dogs. It's their deluded leftist ideology, this oppressor-oppressed narrative. And for these leftists, they look at the Palestinians and say, oh, they're oppressed. They look around the neighborhood. They see Israel. It has, a booming economy, liberal rights, free speech, the rule of law. They're doing rather well. And in the Palestinian, the West Bank and in Gaza, it's misery and poverty and despair. And they think, Israel is a white colonial enterprise. Well, Jews have been in that area in the Middle East since time immemorial. The only states that were ever in that region were Jewish states. This is a fact. And I saw, some pinhead shows me a map of Israel and shows, there's so many more Jewish areas than Palestinian areas. Well, reflect on the fact that there are 22 Arab states surrounding little tiny Israel, just a little speck of a thing on the map. Yeah, I told this pinhead to, just expand his map a little bit. And there are 50 Muslim majority countries around the world. And the Palestinians, they're culturally Arab, absolutely culturally indistinguishable from the Arabs. And when Jewish settlers started moving in to the area, because they were being attacked in Europe, right? Attacked in Europe, seeking a safe place to flee. They bought land from the absent landowners, the Ottoman wealthy class, bought the land. And yes, campaigns to wipe out the Jews. And I mentioned, Mufti Haj Ali Hassani, right? Siding with Hitler, Second World War, spewing murderous anti-Semitic propaganda to the Middle East, forms up a Bosnian SS unit killing Jews, Second World War, and the plan was to carry out this extermination campaign in the Middle East if Hitler had won, because this anti-Semitic, eliminationist, genocidal strain plays very well. But for the leftists, riddle me this. When you are supporting rapes, murders, beheadings, torture of Jews, or Israelis, you are marching hand in hand with the neo-Nazi. The neo-Nazi. You can look at each other from across the street and say, we're carrying the same banners. This should be a wake-up call to you that you're just you've lost your mind. You have lost your mind. And notwithstanding what is going on now in Israel, even before this murderous, barbaric attack, right out of a page of the Quran and the 7th century armies of Islam, before that, Jews were fleeing Europe. Remember? Never again, never again. And yes, leftists and properly were chanting that same chant. I certainly chant that chant, never again, except Jews in Europe are being attacked on the streets. A number of countries in Europe, and even before this, telling their Jewish students, the Star of David, you might want to conceal that, and the yarmulke, it's not safe for you on the streets of Britain or France, a number of other countries. So they're seeking refuge. The one country in the world, the one Jewish state. And so they're in a bit of a quandary, right? They have nowhere else to go. They're being set upon all across the United States, and not just in Europe. In my fair city, Toronto, people waving the flag of the Palestinians. It's not as though, revelations of the Holocaust have come out, you supporting Hitler and the Nazi Party, and you had no idea, and then the revelations come out and you're forced to acknowledge. No. In real time, these horrors are being released, and you support this nonsense? Awful. So yes, Jews need a place to flee, and that place is Israel. And for Palestinian Arabs, there's about 30% of the Israeli population, as I understand it, is Arab. Arab Muslims, free as anybody else in Israel, same rights. They don't cut the heads off of gay people in Israel. Queers for Palestine. I invite them to take a flight over to, the West Bank. Of course, Gaza, middle of a war. Go over to West Bank and fly your flag of social justice virtue. So no, I don't think the vast majority of these deluded leftists are anti-Semitic in the literal sense, but they're supporting a movement, this radical Islamic, or like I like to call it, Islamic genocidal project from these Palestinians. They're supporting that, and they have a moral responsibility for having supported this. And anyway, the good news is the corporate world starting to look at, these students who signed these letters, Harvard students and across Ivy League campuses, their unambiguous support for the Palestinians, and this is all on Israel. Well, they're scrambling to get their names removed from the list. And to be fair, and I always try to be fair, some members of these groups had no idea that the group itself was going to throw their name in, aligning with this group pledge and support. So they're scrambling to get their names off. And others, cowards. They don't have the courage of their conviction. And I don't care if they're shamed into acknowledging a mistake here, or they have sincerely undergone a moment of reflection. And once again, they could pick up a book. They're obviously not teaching anything to these universities other than poisonous leftist ideology. You want to learn something about this conflict? Pick up my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. And yes, I deconstruct Islam, religion of peace. No, it's not. 1,400 years of barbarism. And yes, there were times and places where the barbaric aspects retreated and there was some cultural flourishing. That was precisely those times and places where Islamic doctrine receded. And this whole radical trans, sex and gender stuff, it's poisonous. I give you the data, I give you the facts, and a number of other issues. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and attention. Do hope you'll check out that book. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. And if you like the video, it gratifies my fragile ego if you drop a thumbs up. Thanks so much for your time and attention now. Bye-bye.